Welcome to my champion deck tech! Woo! So the champion of the game was Treebeard, Gracious Host. So let's dive into the commander. Let's read them first. So Treebeard, Gracious Host has Trample and Ward 2. Whenever Treebeard, Gracious Host enters the battlefield, create 2 food tokens. Whenever you gain life, put that many +1/+1 counters on target halfling or tree folk. With this deck, I went for a Voltron style deck. So, with this deck, I went for like gain life, put a ton of +1/+1 counters on Treebeard, making him as powerful as possible.
Yeah, he was huge. Turn 4, 19 power. That's crazy. She's one-shotting people with her commander on turn 4, turn 5 already. That's wild.
Well, yeah, and it's really easy to proc his ability. I mean, first things first, he comes into the battlefield with 2 food tokens. So if you can sack those as quickly as possible, he has now 6 +1/+1 counters on him, making him a 6/11. And when we include all the other forms of life gain in the deck, he could get out of control really quickly.
Yeah, the ability to put just that many +1/+1 counters on him whenever you gain life, like green and white, rather. Green and white have so many cheap ways to just create so much life. Just you gain, 5 life, 10 life, 8 life out of nowhere, like so quickly.
The first section that we wanted to dive into are life gain. There are plenty of ways to gain life in this deck to try to proc Treebeard's ability as many times as possible. I really wanted to highlight Feed the Clan. You actually saw this one in game. There's a lot of just instances like this one in this deck that just, again, really cheap mana cost, really big reward for Treebeard, which is making you gain so much life, putting so many +1/+1 counters on Treebeard.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the game, Feed the Clan especially did so much work with Innkeeper's Talent out and Primal Vigor. Yeah, exactly. That made her gain 40 life, putting 10 life, getting 40 counters on Treebeard. It was crazy because I thought, oh, maybe I've got a chance to block her with some of my Nazgul. It was too late. There was nothing that I could have done. It was crazy.
The next theme I wanted to dive into is kind of more of the Voltron theme. This is more just to kind of, again, buff up the commander even more and give it special abilities, especially lifelink, right? So technically, right, it would be like, oh, why isn't this in the life gain section? And it's just because, again, the life gain section is more like proccing it, while the Voltron section is like, I'm going to equip this onto my commander to make him stronger.
Yeah, like a little bit more instant sorceries, like things that can immediately gain her that life, whereas like the Voltron feel is more like, hey, what are the artifacts or enchantments that she can put on Treebeard to give him lifelink or to help to buff him as well.
Mm-hmm. So the one that I wanted to go over is Armadillo Cloak, right? So it only costs 3 mana, and it says enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has trample, and whenever enchanted creature deals damage, you gain that much life. So there are lots of ways in this deck to give Treebeard lifelink and ways to gain life. With this card, right, it's not saying it's lifelink, so you could have lifelink equipped to him, and whenever it deals damage, you gain that much life, so it's pretty much like double lifelink.
That's really strong and super pivotal for Treebeard. Like if you would have had that out and lifelink on Treebeard, not like you needed any help winning the game, but it would have just been that much faster.
The next section that we wanted to dive into are counters. Now we saw Innkeeper's Talent on turn 1, I think.
No, it was turn 2. You got Soul Ring turn 1.
Soul Ring turn 1.
Turn 2. Innkeeper's Talent.
Yeah, turn 2. Turn 2, Innkeeper's Talent. With Treebeard's ability, we're putting +1/+1 counters. So we have a bunch of counter doublers in this deck to really maximize not only the amount of, like, again, when you're gaining so much life and putting that many +1/+1 counters to just double it, or even, I had Primal Vigor out, so even quadruple the amount. I mean, in a matter of a few turns, he was up to like 97. Yeah. 97, 102. The next theme that I wanted to dive into is protection, right? Very quickly, Treebeard became the biggest threat on the table. to the point where everybody else was like, okay, we gotta deal with Rebecca before the Voltron Treebeard takes them out. So protection is vital for this deck. So we really wanted to go into 2 cards. I liked them both. So the first one that I wanted to go into is Sheltering Word. This one just gives, again, we were talking about the fact that it has Ward 2, right? Taking a look at it, it's like, well, why does it need hexproof when it's already a little bit more of a cost to already target it? And again, it's just that little bit of extra protection. Sometimes it's worth it for people to pay the extra mana, the ward cost, to take it out. Well, Sheltering Word protects it for that turn, and it has the added benefit of gaining life equal to that creature's toughness. So base level, assuming that you have not put a single +1/+1 counter on it, you just gain 5 life.
Yeah.
By protecting your creature. It's efficient in that regard. The other one that I wanted to dive into is Arwen, Mortal Queen. This one's great. It's another kind of protection. It's kind of in the form of like a creature though. So she enters the battlefield with an indestructible counter on her, and you can pay the 1 mana to remove the indestructible counter on her to make another target creature indestructible until end of turn. But the great thing about it is its secondary part where you can put a +1/+1 counter and a lifelink counter on the target creature. So it's just a quick, efficient way to not only protect your commander for almost pretty much like 1 mana cost if you have R1 out on the board, but to give it a lifelink counter.
Yeah.
That's powerful in itself. So just cheap, effective ways to gain life. It's just kind of more what we went for in this deck.
Yeah, and while, I mean, we didn't necessarily see these pieces of protection. We did see the Innkeeper's Talon, and then Treebeard has a natural part of protection to him, but we did see a Fog at the end of the game that actually, that saved her. She would have lost there.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I mean, it was wild. Just the protection helped her to, like, really just close out that game, because it was pretty close there at the end.
Well, yeah, the Fog, right, with this Voltron-style deck, Treebeard was, I think, it was the only creature that I had out on the board that entire game, right? There's not a ton of creatures within this deck. So, things like, prevent all combat damage, the Fog, right? It did save me for that last turn, and that gave me enough time to build Treebeard even bigger to swing in for commander damage, even with your gigantic Nazgul.
Exactly.
The next thing that we want to talk about is card draw. In the game, I played out Cosmos Elixir, right? If you have more life better.
If you have more life better. This ad is for you.
More life
better.
Cosmos Elixir, where if you have more life than your starting life total, you get to draw a card at the end of your end step. This is really useful. Card draw is really useful in this deck because you don't want to be running out of cards in your hand. You want to be pulling the key pieces of like giving your commander lifelink. You want to be getting more counter doublers out in the battlefield. So these cards just really help enable that and make sure that you're getting into your deck a little bit more to pull those pieces.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Cosmos Elixir I think only drew you 1 card because then you drop below 40.
Yes.
But I mean, that 1 card can oftentimes be the difference between life and death, so.
Exactly. The next section we wanted to dive into is Mana Ramp / Mana Stones. These are just there to really help accelerate your game plan. In the game, I got Soul Ring out turn 1, which meant that I could get Treebeard out by turn 3 and having him swing in by turn 4.
Yeah.
Just having that mana can just if you can accelerate your game plan as fast as you possibly can, the better. So you can start swinging in for commander damage before people have time to like react or block.
Yeah, little known card, Soul Ring, put it in your decks.
The last thing we just wanted to get into, right? Everybody's favorite part, the lands. So I usually run more lands in general. I used to run 40 because Caden was like, 40 is the best, right? Then it was like the Christmas video where you're like, so 40 sucks. So I actually kind of went the opposite direction and went down to 35 for this deck.
Yeah, that's so few lands, guys.
Yeah, so
She's
few.
missing so many lands.
But yeah, we have just a mix of like sack lands, right? Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, stuff like that. But also utility lands just to make sure that we're getting the right colors. So it's just pretty basic in the land category, but that's pretty much it. Well, that is it for this deck tech. Thank you for watching this video. If you've made it this far, like, comment what you think, and subscribe to join the Ferris community in all of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Okay, adios.
Bye.